Okay. So okay, is all of you? Let me actually pull out your paper. I know your paper is 03 deepfake. Where's the deepfake paper? Okay, this one's deepfake paper. Okay, so this is a paper by Sonia Gomez, Enriquez, Samskriti Jam, Andrew McCress, Rosam Mailringer. I'm sorry, I might pronounce your name incorrectly, but that's all four of you, right? All four of you are here. Now I see that. Okay, so this is about deepfake technology. So before you do your presentation, let me actually give you some feedback when I read it. I mean, first, I really love both your paper, your topic, and your writing. I think they're excellent. Thank you for your hard work. And the things that you actually make about 3 suggestions about what potentially we can do. So I actually, when I look at this, I actually have a 4th suggestion, which I want to share with you first, and then you can actually think about, it might be overlap with some of your suggestions. So when I look at the video, and this video maybe is the result of a deepfake technology. But I think in today's technology, I can actually, for any video, image, or even text, I can actually find all other elements that's actually available information about their similarity to this particular content. So the thing is that today, some of us actually realize that it's a deepfake is because I saw the other one. I saw the original one and see how that got transferred into this one. And the thing is that most of us in today's, if you use Google to find a video somebody shared, you don't see other element. I mean, of course, if you provide me 2 or 3 elements, I would know it's deepfake. But the thing is that in general, that's impossible to have every video to provide exactly this kind of check. But what we can do is that if we have a crawler like what Google has been building, they will be snap every single content in the whole world, essentially. If you think about what's Google company, it's actually basically a crawler to go through every single information they can get. So I actually get all the information and I try to compare their similarity and see that, for example, you use the example of Chancellor May. And it will be great if I find out that original video, but it will be also great, I realize this is Chancellor May. This is a picture. So with this kind of similarity about, I'm not just talking about that's Chancellor May. I want to see that particular picture of Chancellor May is from a particular picture, right? So we actually know the source. And so based on the source we have, we can actually construct a score. We can construct a score saying that how likely we think this video is actually original, or this video is actually being manipulated at least 30 times from 15 countries until we see it. So and we can even actually provide a score saying that how many countries, how many share that's being distributed in what culture. And those information will give us a lot of help for you and me quickly understand. That's actually when I read your paper, I thought, oh, this guy is looking at this very interesting question. Why not doing this? Okay, having said that, the floor is yours.
The first thing that came to mind for me is like, I think that is like a kind of like a little bit of all of our approaches. Like first step was like the personal media literacy. I guess that one kind of falls in line with just being like in the culture. Since you already know those like the elements that make that deep fake, it's easier for you to realize that it's fake. Although that also is also but it's also part of techniques, because ideally a person wouldn't have to be deciding if the elements come from other things themselves, because you can't know everything. So being able to compare a video with elements from online in some way could also help find deepfakes in a way too.
Mhm.
And then there was more I wanted to say, but I can't remember all of it at the time. If anyone else wants to jump in very quickly.
I think you
By the
covered
way,
most of it,
there is another thing which will be triggering this is that when this technology become available, the deepfake side of technology will advance. They will actually inject diversity such that the similarity got diminished. If you think about that, I actually want to change everything such that that picture of Chancellor May itself is never any of the picture because itself has been deepfaked first, then become that picture.
yeah.
Very,
Yeah.
gets
So
very deep.
Yeah, it could be recursively deep in that sense. Yeah. Okay, we'll see that. I mean, I don't have to worry about that before I retire. Is you guys need to worry about that when you graduate from UC Davis. Okay, I let you take care of that. You're a very smart, student. You will do great. All right. Yeah. So please go ahead to. You say you have a PowerPoint presentation you want to go through, right? So
Yes.
I already allow you to share the screen, but please, one of you do the sharing.
Yes, 1 second. That's gonna be me. And then presenter. Okay, does it look good? Everything
It looks
ready?
good to me.
Okay. All right. So we can go ahead. Go ahead, Andrew, whenever you're ready.
All right. So good morning, Professor. First, again, I would like to introduce our group. My name is Andrew.
I'm Sonia.
I'm Sanskriti.
And I'm Royce.
And the title of our presentation is A Closer Look into Social Media Technology, Deepfake Deception, and How to Fight It.
Just, can I take a break here?
Yes.
The hardest name for me to pronounce is Royson.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually your name. Every single words I have to pause except the last word. yeah. How do you pronounce your
Roysum Yell is my first
Royson
name.
L. So
Yeah.
M. I don't
Yeah,
need to
M,
say
yeah.
M. Oh, Royson L. Thank you very much, Royson. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so here's the stuff we're going to discuss in our slides. So first we're going to talk about the background, just what deepfakes are, and then we're going to go ahead and go into our ethical analysis of whether it's like right or wrong to use them. Then we're going to get into our problem statement, what we think is wrong, and what we're going to try to solve with our approach in the next section. Then we're going to go into constraints and concerns of our approach and in general deepfakes. And then we're going to go into our summary of our research and then jump into future work and then questions.
All right, what are deepfakes? So basically the definition of a deepfake is a synthetic medium in which a person in an existing image or video is replaced with someone else of the creator's choice. Where are they being used or how are they being used today? So currently deepfakes are negatively being used to create fake news and fake videos. This has especially been a powerful tool in politics because it gives a way to send false information about opposing candidates. On the other hand, deepfake technology also has been used for positive outcomes. For example, instead of using expensive technology such as CGI and VFX, many movie producers and YouTubers are using deepfakes to create visual content that seems real. If you look closely at these images, you'll notice that our Chancellor Gary May's face is replaced into these other people's bodies. And if you've never seen these movies, you'll never guess these photos are fake. And this is an issue, especially in today's society, because social media is widely used and it's on the rise. It's a place where people read their news. And this technology could be abused very easily to send misinformation to the public. Ethical analysis of deepfakes. So is it ethical for people to use deepfakes? We chose to analyze the usage of deepfakes under the ethical theory of relativism, which is an action considered right or wrong depending on the moral norms of the society in which it's practiced. So essentially, deepfakes is a form of lying. So lying can be considered right or wrong depending on who's affected and the context and society behind the lie. So as like I mentioned before, it's been a powerful tool for in politics for politicians to be using it to kind of send false information about the opposing candidate. So in that sense, it could be considered right or okay if it's, you know, not for that like potential political group that's using it. And also using people's photos without consent, is that ethical? And it's kind of up in the air because deepfakes can be used by like human activists as a way to protect their identity from the public. So using someone else's like body to send out a message using deepfakes can be ethical, or it can be okay because it'll help out their like message to the public.
So for our problem statement, well, what we decided the biggest issue with deepfakes was that how difficult it was to control what was made and the effect it would have on the people who see it. So the method we came up with a method to help control the spread of potential misinformation that could be spread by these. So for our 3-step method, first we wanted to focus on the individual, which would lead to improving personal media literacy. Secondly, we wanted to focus on widespread video verification implementation and detection techniques. That's the more tech side. And lastly, we wanted to focus on the legislative side with looking at the legislation and laws.
Yeah, so for our very first approach, we decided to go with improving personal media literacy. So in our research, we found out that about half, actually a bit more than half of Americans usually get their news from social media, which makes them really susceptible to getting misinformation fed to them through their social media algorithms. So it's really important that we increase public awareness on deepfakes, since many people might just be aware of something like Photoshop, but maybe not deepfakes, and how convincing they can potentially be. So one of the ways in which you can improve this personal media literacy is by teaching classes such as the one that MIT offers on media literacy in the age of deepfakes, which is a completely free online class that teaches like the history and use of deepfakes with clear examples.
Secondly, this is the more tech side, that we think there should be a more widespread videoification implementation. And by this, I mean that social media and video sharing platforms should take a little bit more accountability when it comes to the video they allow, or the content they allow to be spread on their site. So this could be as simple as maybe like a warning before a controversial video is shared, or something more complex, like having their own video authenticator that checks videos before they're posted and then gives a confidence score. And then for detection techniques, this just because deepfakes are made with AI and machine learning, we just need to keep figuring out new detection techniques and potentially keep them more secret so that they can't be used to further reinforce the realisticness of the deepfake program itself too. So for this, we came up with, there's a few that have already been made, like human blinking pattern. That one was pretty successful. And then there's also some that are currently being made, like the facial geometry consistency throughout the video. It's very interesting, and they should ideally be used cohesively to create the strongest possible detector.
And regarding constraints and concerns about deepfake technology, while we were doing our research, it's kind of obvious for us, at least, that deepfake technology is still a relatively new concept that has yet to be well understood by the government and also the masses as well. And even with our 3-pronged approach, the only concrete legislation the government has regarding deepfakes worldwide, honestly, is primarily for studying the matter. So because deepfake technology is so new, it's just the government has only enacted legislative laws that kind of have departments study what deepfakes are capable of and are only assigned to give annual reports. And there are currently no restrictive laws regarding the creation and usage of deepfakes.
Okay, so summary of our research. So firstly, what are deepfakes? They're just fake videos made with other people's photos where they are placed into a false scenario. Secondly, there is both good and bad uses of deepfakes. They're not all bad, so we don't need to restrict the we don't need to restrict deepfakes completely. Thirdly, are they ethical? That's for someone to decide on their own and based on the society or in country where it's being done. Although, because it can use people's photos without their consent and put them places where they haven't been or doing things they haven't done, it could be seen as unethical. Then we have our three-prong approach to help control the harm it could potentially cause. So that's just personal media literacy, video verification on video sharing sites, and potentially restrictive laws. And then for constraints, we found that there is no restrictive laws right now. And because we don't really know much about deepfakes, there's not really laws we can make that could fully encase the issue. And then we also have some future work that we had in mind.
Yeah, so just looking into some future work, we wanted to see what a potential future with deepfake technology could look like. So we believe that there's going to be like a proliferation of deepfakes because it's so easy for people now to create deepfakes, especially without any restrictive laws that are stopping it from happening. Also, we believe that there's probably going to be some more regulations in the future. Governments will likely start to put more laws into place that try to understand what deepfake technology is and what can be done to combat it. But this is still somewhat in the future. Right now, it's still looking like it's mainly focused on understanding deepfakes. And then finally, we believe it's really important that social media companies take their do their part in making sure that they make people aware of what information they're spreading and making sure that they keep a closer eye on whether or not this information has been deepfaked to spread misinformation. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We've got time for questions if you have any.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it's thank you very much. So it's not so much a question, but I thought about one of your leg is rely on legislation, which we know is going to take forever.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take forever, and the technology advanced so fast. By the time they even touch on this issue, we already have a third generation of deepfake they need to worry about. So it's not going to be, in my opinion, it's not going to work at all. I don't think it's just too slow. I do think that this is both a society issue but economic issue. I mean, deepfake is there because there is an economic push for that. And my feeling is that to combat this kind of fast forwarding issue that's so dynamic, I would call it rapidly changing phenomena. We have to use economic way to combat this kind of. So what do I mean by economic? So for example, when listening to your presentation, we need to have a company, a small company, maybe a small company or star company. Their business model is actually providing like a deepfake detection or source analysis for all the video being shared by all the company. So who will be their potential customer? Their potential customer will be like Facebook or Google. So you will ask why Google and Facebook, they don't do that. In my opinion, if Facebook, Google doing this type of job, deepfake detection, it's I think it's not, I would say maybe I just use this way. I think it's conflicting with their own interests about spending effort, resources, and trying to basically handling the data that their customers share. So there might be some kind of not much incentive for them to work on. But on the other hand, if there is a company outside of those big companies focusing on crawling the data, focusing on doing the things that you guys are talking about, is providing element to a point which, for example, it might not be Chancellor May's picture. It might be Chancellor May's mouse or eyes. It's just an element and being mixed. And how do we actually be able to provide a service? And we will charge all the company who want to use the service because their customer now realize the service available. So they will actually push their own company, Google. If Google doesn't do this, people will switch to Bing, for example. If Facebook doesn't do it, I'm going to switch to Twitter if Twitter do it. So we kind of serving this by provide a minimal reasonable profit model to actually push the economic scale. I think that might be a way if I see this happening. Yeah. And
yeah, I feel like I definitely agree with you, Professor. Like for Google and Facebook, I feel like a lot of deepfaked videos may actually be bringing them in revenue because of the amount of like the amount of clicks it gets, like the amount of like interactions they get, whether or not people know that they're fake. Because if people don't know that they're fake, then they believe that the video is real and then spread it as that's a real video. And then if people know that it's fake, they're trying to call it out, and that also increases their interaction, and therefore the amount of interaction obviously gets the companies more money. So they really have no financial incentive at the moment to not have like a detection software, basically. So yeah, it's really important that there's some outside source that's trying to provide a service that would detect fake or deepfake videos, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the reason, or because you said how legislation moves so slow, that's one of the reasons we wanted to put some of the pressure on like the social media companies, because if anyone could keep up with the technology, it might be them.
Yeah, it's just as Kriti mentioned, that it's just hard for those companies. It's because it's conflicting their revenue. I mean, unless it's something like a Cambridge Analytica, which they know is going to damage their company, they will do something. But if other thing in general, they probably would prefer not to touch it and just focus on whatever. Yeah. It on one hand, it costs money for them. On the other hand, it's actually going to be constrain their revenue stream in some sense. Yeah. It's a really interesting issue. I see this as an important issue. I'm glad you picked this topic. Is that this issue will get worse, not better. This is not like a short-term issue. Our AI technology keep developing. We're just blurring the difference between reality, virtual reality, and fake reality. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Another thing though is also as they do get more realistic, because people rely on videos so much for being like the truth, like if you get recorded doing something, people will automatically assume it's true. It could really mess up how things that rely on videos for honesty are dealt with, like criminal things, especially if someone has like a video of you doing something that's wrong and you obviously can't prove that it isn't, that could be very bad for a lot of people. Right.
It's just, of course, in the legal system, they have a way to verify that everything forensics very carefully. But when people set their opinion over social media on matters, and the first impression basically kill it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Even you correct it, it's too late.
Yeah,
Is
people
already,
don't go back and
yeah. The impression is done. Yeah, damage is done already. Yeah, that's another issue. It's about how you can be able to retroactively look at certain things that's actually fake being discovered. I don't know if you know that all kind of fake news, when they propagate, we did some quantitative analysis. The influence of the first publication is way better, way more powerful than all the correction you try to make in the next. And the social algorithm basically decide those are not interesting. The first one is interesting. The social algorithm keep pushing on the fake one, and all the other true information, they got very little attention. So the social algorithm just filter it out. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. That's great. Thank you very much for your hard work. And I'm going to stop here and then prepare for the next group. Okay. So,
Yes.
That's good.
okay, I'm going to stop recording and